Oh my god. Look at what the cat dragged in today. Well, I was driving home from work yesterday and I saw this computer sitting on the side of the road, and I didn't think much of it, but when I drove home today I saw it was still there. So I figured I'd pick it up and see, its condition, having sat outside for at least 2 days. Since Aussie50 has recently done a series of videos on trying to get old salvaged computers running again after they'd been dropped from a great height at the scrapyard, I figured I'd try to do the same thing, except I think I can one-up him on the damage. See that massive hit on the side there? This doesn't sound good. But just look at this. This is the back panel. Potato chipped. Look at that. It's not the same shape. So unfortunately there's no hard drive inside, so I can't assess the damage. But I brought down the spare monitor, and we'll see if we can't get this thing running. I have no idea, but it would be nice to have. I mean, it does have serial and parallel port, which is useful for doing electronic stuff like I do. It's got integrated video out, got Ethernet. It's a old AMD Athlon. Looks like there's that's an AGP, or no, Actually, this doesn't look like a half bad motherboard. No SATA though. Oh, and it's missing the BIOS battery. But the capacitors look good, and there doesn't seem to be any major damage to the board. I see a couple of bent pins on, various connectors like the fan, where they were violently flipped off. This is just sitting at the side of the road a few meters down. Very dusty, but I don't see any gigantic problems. The clips to hold the heatsink are still there. Of course, this thing's a bit worse for wear. Let's see if there's anything inside. Hey, there is something inside. Maybe that's what was rattling. Maybe this thing still works. I'll have to see what's on here. That's not very descriptive. 3? Well, we'll ask my laptop up here, my workshop laptop, what that is. 1 minute. Well, apparently it's a whole bunch of music. Score. Still works. At least the CD or DVD. Well, while I investigate this, I can play some music off of that DVD. Fantastic. If you're wondering, this is an HP Pavilion A000. So look that up in a minute to see what kind of specs I could expect. But it says here, 3-step front cover removal instructions. Step 1, load into car. Step 2, go on freeway. Step 3, drop out of car. Works like a charm. I couldn't even find the front cover. Anyways, so this thing actually feels like it's alright. It's a bit rattly, but I think that's just some dust. This thing took a big hit, but it might still be good. It rattles a bit as well. But I'm kind of worried about those really big components in there. We'll see how it fared. I'll tear this thing open and we can see what kind of damage. Looks like someone already tried to open it. That screw is stripped. Well, I took the front cover off of the power supply, and actually it seems surprisingly intact. The fan interferes with 2 of the inductors down here, but a little bit of manual intervention fixes that, no problem. I don't think I would trust this running by itself without me supervising it closely, but I don't know, I think I'm going to whack that cover back on hook it up to this motherboard, clean off this gunk and reattach the heatsink, and then try to power it on. Oh, I need to find some RAM as well. We even got the power switch. Alright, I'm going to chuck this in the recycling bin and then head upstairs and see what happens. I'm going to take this to work. There's some good music on here. Make sure I don't forget. Put it there. Of course, upon a closer inspection, you can see exactly why those inductors were interfering with the fan. Look at those mounts. They're twisted sideways. See, they're supposed to be straight up and down, but they're twisted because the entire board moved forward. Makes sense. There was a big hit on this side of the computer, and if we look down there, the mounts are definitely touching some traces that they shouldn't be touching. So I think what I'm gonna do is take the board out, straighten out the mounts, put the board back in, and then try plugging it in. Of course, with the proper grounded outlet, and you know, some manner of good luck. Well, I've taken the board out, and actually it doesn't look that bad under here as I was hoping. I do see a couple of places where the flux wasn't properly cleaned off, and it seems like some corrosion is starting to happen, but nothing fatal. I do notice that one of the screw holes was ripped out, but there don't seem to be any traces anywhere around there, so we're fine there. So I'm going to verify that earth on the power plug is still connected to chassis earth, just for safety reasons, and then I'm going to plug it in and try to turn it on. Oh, and I straightened those mounts there. So I've verified that ground here connects to case there, and that earth here, see if I can do this, connects to case, so this should be reasonably safe. Hopefully no explosions. No explosions. The LED is on in the back, so let's try turning it on. There we go, 5.2 volts. Pretty good for no load, at least acceptable. Let's try the 12 volt rail. There it goes, 11.77. Again, not bad for no load condition. These things are not designed to run at no load. So, cool. Next step, find some RAM. I think I have some. And yes, I know there's a whole bunch more rails that I could test, but honestly, I can't be bothered. Seems to work anyways. Bummer, I couldn't find any RAM. This thing takes regular DDR. I only have some spare DDR2. So I'll drop by my local PC surplus store after work tomorrow and pick up an extra pair of sticks. But in the meantime, I will try cleaning this off and attaching this and seeing if it at least beeps on startup. Since this is a slightly older computer, there's a chance that it will post without any external RAM. Chance isn't good, but hey, we'll try it out. Plug this sucker in. See if I can do this without killing myself. Well, I'll have to try again tomorrow with some RAM in the system. I do notice that the board is kind of bent down a little bit on this end, but looking at the parts, there are no BGA devices, which are the ones that are particularly susceptible to bending. There's one BGA device on the entire board actually, and that would be this chipset here, but it was fairly well isolated from the impact, so I don't think that's broken. Oh, sorry, also this thing is BGA. But again, that part was fairly well held in there by the metal, so hoping if I get some RAM in here, I'll be able to get it working. If not, well, I'll attempt a reflow with my hot air rework. Well, so I've hooked up an actual non-dropped supply that I know works, and if I hit this button, as you can see, it's complaining that it doesn't have RAM. So I guess that poor thing down there is kind of dead. So maybe a bad solder joint somewhere. Maybe if I ever need another power supply, I'll try to fix it, but frankly, the fire hazard isn't worth it. Alright, so I picked up some RAM from my local computer recycling place. Paid $4 for the pair. Very nice. DDR1. I guess that's nice. So I'm going to flip the switch and see what happens. I'm hoping for one beep from that speaker. And I'm getting no beep. Let's try again. Well, the fan changed speed. I suppose that's a good thing. There's a lot of dirt inside these things. Let me try cleaning them out again and see what we get. Oh, wait. That was a couple beeps. Different than last time. Okay, so I've got this thing hooked up. Power. Let's see what happens. Come on, come on. You know you want to. Ah! Look at that. Look at that. It's gonna try to boot. I see the blinky cursor. Look at that. I'm not sure why it's not beeping, but whatever. So now let's, for fun, let's hook up that CD-ROM drive and try to boot, you know, a live CD. Well, I've got the CD-ROM drive hooked up. It's detected. The eject mechanism is a bit screwed, but it comes out. Let's put in Gen 2 install CD 2008.0 x86. Let's put that in. Let me, well, let's listen to what noises this makes. Huh. Nothing weird. Save and exit. There's no battery. Let's hope it remembers to boot from the CD-ROM. Alright. Well, I enabled the extra diagnostics. It remembered that. Uh-oh. Didn't like it. Let's try booting from that boot selection screen. There it goes. Aha! There it goes. Booting Linux. Let's auto adjust here. Well, it just goes to show you. You could drop your computer off of a truck going down the highway and have it be smashed up beyond recognition, and it, you know, apparently still works. Well, except for that power supply back there, which is dead, or at least somewhat dead. That's far in the future. What do you reckon? I think this thing has gone back to 1980 in terms of clock. Cool, it's done booting. There you go. Athlon XP 2800 plus at 2 GHz, 512K cache. Hooked it up to the network. It's working great. I'm browsing Hackaday on Lynx. You know, the browser Lynx. Nothing's a bit hot. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I hope you appreciate how much abuse this thing has taken, because it's taken a lot, that's for sure. But it's come out fighting like a champ. You can still see like some road grime over here, but seems to be working great. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I'm sure I'll think of something.